There's been a lot of talk about how to make our elections more secure since the 2020 election. The 2020 election, both at the presidential level and for the Senate and Congress, was not fraudulent. The election was not stolen. But election security should still matter a lot. States have passed laws about it, and many are campaigning on it. But rather than using slogans or making changes that fix a problem that doesn't exist, there are actually tools out there to help prevent voter fraud. But now, some of the same people who say they're concerned about massive voter fraud are going after that tool that states use to detect and prevent voter fraud. The tool is a shared database called the Electronic Registration Information Center, or ERIC. It allows states to securely share voter registration data across state lines with several other government agencies like the Social Security Administration, Department of Motor Vehicles. ERIC increases election security by notifying officials when a registered voter moves away, when a duplicate registration form is filed in the same state, when a registered voter dies, allowing states to maintain more accurate voter rolls. The decade-old program helps remove dead people off voter rolls, at this point 500,000 and counting. That's a good thing. A handful of people across the political spectrum have been prosecuted for trying to vote on behalf of deceased people, and they should be prosecuted. States enrolled in ERIC can also request a report identifying voters who appear to have voted twice within their state in the prior federal election, voted in more than one state in the prior federal election as well, or who voted on behalf of a deceased voter in the prior election. This is exactly what we should want to stop voter fraud. Programs used by more than 30 states, spanning the political spectrum from Republican strongholds like Texas and Alabama to more progressive states like Maine and Maryland. But now a new conspiracy has some officials fighting to get their states out of this program. Last month, the far-right blog The Gateway Pundit published multiple articles about ERIC, falsely implying it's part of a left-wing election conspiracy. 7 days later, Louisiana's Secretary of State, Kyle Ardone, released a statement saying, part, Louisiana will suspend its participation in the Electronic Registration Information Center, effective immediately. The announcement comes amid concerns raised by citizens, government watchdog organizations, and media reports about potential questionable funding sources and that possibly partisan actors may have access to ERIC network data for political purposes, potentially undermining voter confidence. Now, since Louisiana joined ERIC, they've identified more than 16,000 dead people on the state's voting lists, more than 54,000 people who moved out of the state. But by choosing to leave, the state, I guess, is no longer going to have access to that data. Joining us now is Alabama's Secretary of State, John Merrill, a Republican. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
And thanks for having me as your guest today.
So have you ever, in Alabama's time with ERIC, experienced any issue in terms of security?
Dan, not only have we not experienced any improprieties, any irregularities, any inconsistencies, there have been no vulnerabilities introduced. There have been absolutely no concerns or problems at any level with ERIC, not just since we've been a member, since 2016, but going back to 2011 until today.
So what do you make of your neighbors in Louisiana leaving ERIC?
Well, look, Kyle does what he thinks is best for Kyle and what he thinks is best for the people of Louisiana. I hope those are the decisions that he's making. I want you to know that Alabama is looked at as the gold standard for election administration. We've been identified by 4 national entities as being the national standard for election administration after the 2020 election cycle. We have absolutely no plans to remove ourselves from ERIC membership. We will continue to use it to help fortify our voter rolls, to ensure that we're continuing to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat in Alabama.
Can you tell me about what sort of security is in place? I mean, there are going to be people who are going to read some of these articles and say, but I'm concerned about the security, et cetera. How do you assure people when they say to you, sir, I am concerned that this thing may get hacked or that, bad actors may try and influence it?
Well, look, what you have to do is you have to be prepared. And we are prepared, not just in our relationship with ERIC, but in all the administration of our elections. And we're doing everything we can to improve voter confidence and to ensure that people know that when we share information like we're doing in the ERIC relationship, we're doing so in such a way that it enables us to get the full benefit from the membership. which means when people are voting twice in the same election cycle in two different states, they're identified, they're investigated. If it's warranted, they're prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law after an indictment. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can to preserve, protect, and defend our people and their opportunity to participate in the election process.
What are you hearing from your fellow Republican secretaries of state about this?
Well, look, we continue to have consistent conversations about Eric and about other issues that are important to election administration. And all of our members are continuously working to improve their personal administration of the process. And Eric is a valuable tool to all of us. There's many things that Eric provides that we cannot do individually as states. And really, Dan, the seminal question is not whether or not your state needs to be a member of ERIC. The seminal question is, if your state is not a member of ERIC, where are you going to get the resources that we currently use to remove from the vote that are dead, that have moved away, that are incarcerated and not been noted yet on your information? So that's the seminal question that has to be asked.
I think that's exactly right. And look, as you've said, if you care about voter fraud, as I know you do, to make sure that it doesn't happen, you need this tool. I mean, this is something that you want. It's not something you want to get rid of. Secretary John Merrill, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.